Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, Attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Katherine Knight, and she's going to has a company called Parents Dementia Journey. And today we're going to talk about a caregiver's guide from chaos to calm, because chaos seems to be a lot of what happens when you have a diagnosis and as it starts to uh, you know venture into uncharted territories. So welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you.
So one of the things we probably want to talk about is, some of the main reasons for the chaos that adult children find themselves facing when they have a parent that has dementia.
What happens when when a parent gets a diagnosis, or a sibling or a spouse, a child, someone out there that's getting that diagnosis, what's happening is the care hero, as I call them, the care hero takes this responsibility on, and they're overwhelmed immediately. They want to make sure that that loved one gets the care they need. They don't know how to do it. Their life is changing rapidly. In my case, I had children at home still, and I'm trying to take care of them, my husband, my mother, and all those pieces are falling apart at that time, especially in the beginning when you don't know what to do. They have dementia, it's being diagnosed, and your life is falling apart, and that's when the chaos happens.
And so, do you think that that there should be more things out there for adult children as far as the chaos? Because it seems like I think information is always the big thing.
Oh, it's a key. Mm-hmm.
And so. But when you're going through all this, because it does seem to be very chaotic,
Correct.
so is it possible to get from chaos to calm?
Oh, it is. It is possible to get chaos to calm. What I guide people through, and I've seen with Alzheimer's.com, with support groups in your area, they can help you get through that chaos. The biggest piece to that, going from chaos to calm, is accepting that your life has changed, accepting that you're going to do the best you can with the information you have at the time. And that through that, you're learning. You're getting support from other people. Other people are guiding you through their experience. And there's courses out there. There's a plethora of information out there with what we can do to get support. And I know I started with chaos and very quickly was able to move over to calm because I got support. I had someone who was a care hero of someone else with dementia, was able to give me tips. Step one was letting go of my mother, of who my mother was, understanding that my life had changed and accepting it. And that's the first big step to changing that from chaos to calm.
And so, why is it important to identify and understand the challenges that you're facing?
Well, their importance comes from getting you from that chaos to calm. The importance is, do you want your life to be in upheaval until you no longer have your loved one with dementia? You don't want to be that way. It's not fair to them because you're upset. You are snapping at them. They are snapping at you. And it's just not a healthy environment. So taking them and identifying to understand that challenge. And that's where a course, a book, other people helping you will make the difference in your world so that you don't have to struggle with what those challenges are.
What did you find in your in your individual situation? What were some of the challenges that you found?
The first challenge I had was going from my mother being my mother to now me being in charge. Because if I left it to my mother, she would eat candy, cookie, and ice cream every day because it was easy to get to. She wasn't going to have a balanced meal, and she had diabetes. So starting that piece there, understanding that this is a different person. I had to detach myself a bit in the beginning to be the one in charge and understand that I'm in charge. I have to guide her as like a 3-year-old. I have to guide her so that she gets the right food. And yeah, she can have some ice cream once in a while, but not every meal. I want her to eat, but I want her to eat somewhat healthy. And I struggled with even that little fact. I struggled with it because I thought, well, she's 87 years old. She should get what she wants. But on the other hand, I don't know how much longer she's going to live. And my mother just hit her 92nd birthday.
Congrats.
So she's been with us 5 years. Like them, but making sure she gets the right food and taking it one step further each day. So now I can go in and I can give her food. Many of my care heroes and myself included, I have a mother who says, got something to eat? Even if she has food on that plate right there, it's like, well, you have food there. So I'm not stressed with it, but in the beginning I was. It's like, Mom, you have food here. Oh, well, it wasn't enough. So and then we have other care heroes who their parent won't eat. And it's a fluctuating game as you go through this, because one day they don't want to eat, one day they do want to eat. And how do you handle those pieces? Because you're tasked with giving them the dignity, that dignity they so deserve, because they raised you, or they married you and they were married you for 30, 40 years, or it's an older sibling or younger sibling. Each one of these people has a different impact in your life. And you want to give them the dignity and give yourself the dignity too. And that's where we go. We step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and get them to that, from chaos to calm.
So what do you think the biggest challenge is for those adult children that are now taking care of their parents? What do you think the biggest challenge is?
The biggest challenge is learning how to balance and understanding that you're doing the best you can with the care you're giving now. No guilt, building up their confidence. So the biggest challenge is switching over from that child to in charge and doing the best you can with the information you have now.
So did you struggle to find caregivers? Because I know that a lot of people, it's one of the challenges is, how do I get caregivers so I can continue to work, or, things like that. Did you find that, was that something in your situation, or were you fortunate enough that wasn't, you didn't have to have that?
I started, yes, and I was panicked. I had a tax office, and I had to get it opened up in the next 2 weeks, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my mother. And I was very fortunate. I went to pick up some medication for my mom, and there was one of my tax clients there, and Michael said, "How's it going?" I said, "I am so stressed. I don't know what to do. I got to find a caregiver. Have somebody come into my house. I don't know. And he said, "I have your solution." He said, I work with this group of Fijians, and they are the best. They only take by referral. I called them. They came out that afternoon. I had someone the following Monday. Awesome. I was fortunate. Through our time, we have lost caregivers. We have had to find new ones. And I have been very fortunate because I talk to a lot of people, and I've been able to find people. My last person I hired, who's been with me since my mother since January. I got it on Nextdoor. I don't recommend it, but I put a post on Nextdoor saying I was paying this much. I need this many hours, and they got to understand about dementia. I got the most wonderful woman named Carolyn. She's perfect. My mother loves her. It's nirvana.
So, my grandfather didn't have dementia, but him and my grandmother both required caregivers, and that was one of the biggest things initially, till I kind of got my rhythm.
Yes.
Of hiring and firing and getting the right people in place, and so that was that for me. And I see a lot of times with the clients coming into my office that are going, okay, now what do we do?
Yes.
And so so one of the things we're just trying to do more in my practice to help clients feel better. And but still, it's I think sometimes it's a struggle all the time. And so
it feels like an overwhelming event in your life. I mean, and it's an ongoing, and you have no idea how long this is going to last. You don't know. I've been taking care of my mom for 5 years, And if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I'd say I don't think she's going to make it to her 92nd birthday. Now she has come back up again, and she may make it to 100. I don't know. So it changes life, and you've got to learn how to pivot. You've got to learn how to get a huge support system going. I'm going out of town the 16th of this month for 4 days, and I've arranged to have my regular care hero at my house, Carolyn. Marsha's going to come for a little while, then my husband will be there through the night. And we've got this whole system set up, but it's challenging. It's challenging for each one of the people, the caregivers that are out there. It's challenging to make sure that you get them covered, because my mother needs 24/7 care.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to make sure it's there. Or I went to Texas and visited my son, and I had to get care then too.
So, well, good. And so, because that was half the battle. And so I found that having private caregivers required me to do stuff on holidays, so I'd go pick him up, bring him home, and so it was always an interesting experience. And for the most part, it was more painful for him than it was for me. And so, and I tell clients a lot, I think men have a more difficult time, with caregiving, needing caregivers than women. And
Right.
especially his generation, because they were the take care of your family, take charge, you got to do it all yourself kind of thing. And he really struggled, with that. And so let's kind of talk about confidence. And so what are some ways to build confidence?
Part of confidence building for me is to, make sure you understand the challenges so that you can handle everything. Part of it is knowledge. Knowledge is key. That knowledge, you take it to understanding what their needs are. How can you resolve those needs? How can you support your loved one with dementia? And once you start building on that, in my case, I started reading books. I started reaching out to caregivers. I started reaching out to anybody and everybody. I wasn't ashamed. I'm in the grocery store. I'm asking, do you have somebody with dementia? Tell me what it's like. And so once I was able to build up my confidence, because I knew that I could take care of my mom. Once I got the knowledge behind me, I knew that I could take care of my mom. And at that point, when I wrote the book, I was trying to help others. And my whole goal was to say, okay, am I doing this right? And part of building that confidence is understanding that you're not going to know everything. You can't. There's surprises every day. And when those surprises, you got to learn how to learn from it. Every day is a learning day. And if every day's a learning day, you're going to build from it. And you're going to build your confidence that way.
Perfect. And so tell us about your book.
Well, my book, I wrote it during COVID. I had a lot of time and I wasn't going anywhere. And so I woke up one night and I thought, I can help others. So I wrote the book, and it's sold in 6 countries so far. I'm really proud of it. And then we built Parents Dementia Journey off of it. And now we do courses. We do phone calls to help other people. It's my passion now. I'm loving what I do, and I'm meeting a lot of fantastic people.
And so that's awesome. So tell our listeners, how do they find your book?
My book is on Amazon. It's called Parents Dementia Journey by Katherine Knight. And it's out there. And if you're a Prime member, you can get it for free.
Awesome. And so I'm a Prime member. I like my Amazon.
There you go. I love my Amazon.
And so Katherine, how does somebody find you?
To find me, they can email me at Katherine@parentsdementiajourney.com or call me at 707-548-1040.
And the website as well is parentsdementiajourney.com.
And there's some information on the website to help them. And if they want to link in, they can put a message to me there too.
Perfect. And so I just want to thank you so much for being on the show. Such good information. And so give your mom a hug. And so
thank you.
And for us. And we look forward to seeing you again.
And thank you. And thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.